Okay, what's going on, guys? We're going to go over the yearly top 5 tactics and the roles and formations to use. If you're struggling right now, this will really help you, but I'm also going to explain to you why you may be struggling. There's certain formations like the 4-4-2 which are top tier for pro level, but if you're using it, you may struggle. It's because I'll explain to you when I get to that segment, when I go over the 4-4-2 and the 4-3-2-1s and the 5 backs, but it does really depend on how you play. Right now, my favorite one to use is the 4-2-2, and the reason for this is because you have CDMs. Now, let me tell you a secret, right? If you are struggling, CDMs, especially the holding role, is going to help you. So if you're sitting there and you're struggling defensively, the CDM holding roles are going to be the most important things. In fact, if you're part of the Patreon series now, you should see a video on it probably in the next few hours about the importance of how AI affects. You know, a lot of people are getting the ball from midfield, losing the ball, hit, and then conceding. You got to stop that. If you have CDMs, they sit naturally a bit deeper. They sit closer to your centre back, so it helps you get that pass quicker as opposed to centre mids that sit higher. This one I really like though. By the way, all the codes are on my website as usual, fcroles.com. If anyone that's really in a rush wants to just see the codes, that's it. But this one I really like because you have Neymar as a shadow striker. You have the 2 striker. We've got Poacher on 1 striker. I got advanced forward on Sun, finesher all the way to the victory. I'm using this on my main account as well. Neymar, shadow striker. We got Alvarez, the cam, or I normally play Lavelle there, because otherwise, if you don't have that player, there's kind of like no one in the middle. You need that kind of that piece of glue that connects the CDMs and the cams, because Neymar as a shadow striker is just basically behind the strikers. And then you have the width with Batcher. So Batcher is that player making that run out attacking wing back. I think, in my opinion, this might be one of the better formations this year. I have the the fullback on defend, so you at least defend in the back 3. The only way you're going to get caught out here is down the wings in these areas. You have to understand your gameplay. If you know that you get done by counterattacks, maybe go, and this is why in the video, I've got a 4-2-2 video, I'm not going to go over it too much, but I explain that you can just use, for example, a wing back. That does both the roles, but I use a tech and wing back because I'm very comfortable. You have to adjust things to your own gameplay. You know, last year when I told you to adjust things, learn things, how things worked, do you not think I told you that deliberately so you can plan for when this day came along? But yes, I use this 4-4-2, and I also use a balance depth. I know a lot of pros are using 60-70. You're not a pro. Don't use it. Even the pros now are going back to more of a balanced depth and keeping high depth for when they need it. So go on a 45-40 like last year, what I recommended. Don't just go spamming different things as people are saying it. Choose one baseline and adjust it to how your playstyle is. Counters like long ball last year, it's funny because now they call the word counter, everyone starts using it. But when it was long ball, no one really wanted to use it as much. But yes, for those players to make runs in behind, counter is very effective. That's the code over there. Zulu, capital Zulu, Sierra, X-ray, 78 at uniform, $, Juliet, capital Victor, and 5. That is the code for the 4-2-2. Do you want to get better at FC25? Now, before you skip ahead, what if I told you if you joined my FC school and you didn't get better after 1 month, I'll refund your money? I can say this because I've been running my FC school for many years and thousands of students join and even stay on. We go over complete in-depth gameplay tutorials showing you both the theory of something and the gameplay examples using real-life examples in a structured format that's like a course. The videos are on a systematic learning system teaching you everything from the core mechanics, the basics to the meta so you can get better as a whole with explanations that go beyond the scope of my YouTube channel. FC School has already started with every single tactical layout, focuses, meta cards, and learn the meta before it even becomes the meta. So come join thousands of others in a mature audience community for those looking to get better at FC25, patreon.com/nilguides, or click the link down below. Now, when you join, we already have a library of hundreds of videos, more than my YouTube channel, in fact, with new videos on FC25 getting constantly added so you'll never run out of content. The biggest mistake people do is they spend thousands of dollars on FP points every year thinking this will make them better, but it won't. But now it's time for you to make that change. Don't forget, if you don't get better after 1 month, just send me a message and I'll refund your money. That's the Neil Guides guarantee. Links down below in the description, patreon.com/Neil Guides. And then we're going to go over to the 4-3-2-1. I think this is the best imitation 4-3-2-1. Very similar. We just got 50 depth here on this one. But this one is actually kind of cool because where you lack in other, like I've seen like Team Hullets. I've actually made a review on Team Hullets tactics. I think it's a 7 out of 10. I think you really have to be like a top tier player to understand how to use that tactic properly. But with this one, you have a CDM, and I know a lot of you guys struggle defensively, so this is a variation to try. I'm going to tell you a bit of a hard truth right now, but if you can't find a formation that's working for you, it's your gameplay, not your tactics. That means you've got to get your basics back in check. This is the year, and again, I'm here to tell you the truth so you improve. this is the year that people are getting caught out because you don't know basics. If you're making these 180 no-scope passes and you're wondering why you're losing, that's your fault. Even players that are elite players are getting caught out this year. Don't make that mistake. Make the change now. Otherwise, you will struggle in a few months' time. I don't want that. If you're an elite player last year and you're struggling, please watch your gameplay back. Go over the basics. So important. But yes, we have fullback defend, very similar to the 4-2-2 here, except for we have one CDM player. We still retain the attacking fullback. This is probably the best role, I would say, inside forward. If you have an inside forward plus on roaming, it's insane. So this is basically the best role to have inside the game. I've left this one on balanced per se because there's no one here, but the idea is with Neymar, Batch will be coming inside and Neymar will be basically going into the space. So let's say you got your opponent has two center backs, for example, like two center backs. Neymar's the player. Gotta be careful how I draw that. Neymar is the person that will go and occupy those areas with the inside forward roaming. Inside forward roaming is probably one of my favorite play styles for the attackers. And then you have Batch providing the width. So it's similar to last year's 4-3-2-1, but you have the defensive structure of the CDM. So if you like the 4-3-2-1 from last year, this is a formation to play. Now, what you could do is you could put box-to-box players here. I've put playmakers. I think it's way more attacking playmakers. Someone like De Jong with a ++ is actually very much better here. So I like the playmakers because they sit higher. But feel free to tone these down if you want to, or put one player on stay back. But this, I would say, would be the best imitation 4-3-2-1 with a CDM. I promise you, if the 4-3-2-1 existed last year with a CDM, it will be there. The only downside is the right wing is a bit more wider, but if you want to emulate the 4-3-2-1 as best as possible and try to be narrow, you could go with inside forward. At least this way they're going to come inside. They're not going to play as last year, but at least they'll be going wide initially. This is the key. Wide for the build-up play, so they'll be wide as possible. Think about like David Villa and Pedro in Barcelona. Then they will go into free form in the final third. That's the way this one likes. So if you like the 4-3-2-1, but you're struggling with centre mids, and I think that's the real key thing here. You're struggling with CDMs, especially with the holding playstyle. That could be an option for you. So that definitely goes into my personal top 5. Again, this is a good one. If you struggle with a left back, just put the left back on stay back. People say, "Oh, I'm getting counter a left back." Then put the left back on stay back. You shouldn't be just copying everyone's tactics. You should be copy a tactic, use as a template, and then change it yourself. When you get your own car, do you use the same seat position as the person who drove it before? No, you fine tune your seat to how you like it, how long your legs are, then you drive the car. Understand it's all about fine tuning. It's very important. Trust me, learn the basics now. Understand how to fine tune your tactics. That way you don't have to watch me, you don't have to watch anyone else, you don't have to worry about your codes, you'll make it yourself. Now, and trust me, no one else wants you to hit. I'm pretty sure everyone wants you to watch the videos, but anyway. 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. This is one of my other favorite formations. I made a video on this. It's very good. For those that like narrow style of play, this is probably the better options. The key thing is these false backs, so they play very narrow. So you basically have a midfield of 5 per se, not really. It's more like I would say a 2-3-2-1-2. And the benefit is alongside the CDMs, you have those false backs. The benefit is of these false backs is when you lose possession, when you get dispossessed and the ball turns over, they don't have that much space to run back. You know, the false backs and fullbacks, you just have to go back to left backs and right backs. So it's not that bad when you're getting countered as opposed to attacking fullbacks. But this one you have the CDM holding, and then you have the box to box. Now, what you could do, I didn't actually add this in, but what you could do to make this even more attacking is you could go, for example, something like this. Playmaker attacking, and they will sit even higher. Now, if you know how to control the ball and the left dribbling is very difficult this year, but it's still very possible. You just have to take a touch completely away without losing the ball. You can't take a 50%. You got to take it 100% away, keep the ball safe. You can make the formation much more attacking like that. I've been going with poachers for my striker. The only reason why Son has an advanced forward is because sometimes with advanced forward, they come centrally, and then they come forward. And the reason why I like Son with it, because if he does come deep, I can get the ball to him and do a finesse shot. So and also adapt this to your style. You know, if you have, for example, the only one I wouldn't really use probably is target forward. I don't really like target forward or false nine, to be honest. But if you really wanted, I'll say advanced one approach. But let's say at a plus plus, just try it out. You know, you have to always adjust it for what players you have as well. If you have a poacher plus plus, you'll be very much laughing. I think 2 poacher plus pluses, if you really struggle with movement, can help a lot. Neymar, the shadow striker, as a this is very, very important. Someone like Foden here, there's a lack of cams in his game because you can't move traditionally a left mid and right mid into those cam roles. But that is it. No sweeper keeper. Even though I play sweeper keeper, none of these tactics have it because I think it's just too much of a counter threat. A lot of people are struggling with it. This is the tactics. You can go build up style counter, but I recommend going just balanced in the beginning and then changing it to counter after, because sometimes it can be too quick. A lot of people, I tell you, the most common that I'm saying is people, they're losing the ball, I would say, in this area here, trying to pass the ball out. And sometimes with a counter, those players are going too far ahead too quickly. Equally, you don't want to be using short passing because then they always come close. You're better off using balanced, for example, and then triggering those players manually with the L1 button again. I'm talking about where the basics trump everything. You know, for example, all these pros, they're in the elite division because their basics are 10 out of 10. Yes, they abuse the game, but that's the only final 5%. They still know the game fundamentally on such a good level. But a lot of people are just trying to go straight to the L1 speed boost, missing the fundamentals, and they're wondering why they're struggling. So if you can't build up, there's something to bear in mind. You can if you want this to be a bit more reserved. You're like, no, this is probably a tad bit too much for me. What you could do is you can put one of these guys on a fullback defend. At least that way you got a back three, so you kind of got like a 3-2-2-1-2. So at least you got more options there. But yes, the 4-1-2-1-2 for a narrow system, it's very, very good. Some of the few pros are using it, but I think you do need width in this game. But it's definitely a formation to change to inside the game. Then my other formation is the 4-4-2. Now, this is probably the best formation inside the game, but the truth is, I think a lot of people are getting caught out with this formation because you're just not good enough to play it. I have to be honest, I'm not going to sit here and sell lies to you because at the end of the day, I want you to become better. But it's important to me to tell truths and not sugarcoat things. These center mids, they sit so high. It's a very good pressing. Like you can go towards like a 60 depth even with this formation. But you got to understand how to play at a top tier level. When I released this video, it was only after when I got a lot of feedback saying, look, Neil, this is too aggressive for me. Then I realized maybe as time goes on, it will be easier for you. For now, what you could do is you can use it as a comeback tactic. So if you just want to come back inside the game, go for 70 depth and then go for counter. And then I've got inside forward attack for both my left mid and right mids, poacher and advanced forward. And then I got one of my center mids on playmaker attack and one is on holding. Now, if you want to make this a tad bit defensive, you can put both of these players on holding. Now, this is very important. Okay, very, very important you understand this. Holding in a center mid and holding in a CDM, no matter what anyone else tells you, are completely different because CDMs, they sit much deeper. So if you're building up from the goalkeeper to the center back to the CDM and then passing the ball going forward, it'll be easier with CDMs as opposed to center mids that sit higher. This is where people are losing the ball because these center mids are sitting so high. So when you have a goal kick, your back line are deep. People try to pass it to the center back. It's a 4 versus 4. Someone's got a 4-4-2. They don't know what to do and they end up doing a driven pass or a lob pass and then they get caught out. Okay, so understand it's very, very important. Not only do you be patient, that you have one player on CDM. If you need both players on CDM, put both players. If you are still struggling, get one of these strikers. Go get someone with like the long ball, like Edison. You press triangle, drop the ball, or far throw. Get someone to put them on the wing where Neymar, Rodrigo are, or in striker. Either way, and that way you can lob the ball to them and you'll have an outlet solution. That's what I just want to recommend to you. If you know how to use the precision lob pass, it's very, very effective. I talked about it last year, how it's the meta. It still is the meta. Probably is the best that all pros should be using, but pros don't even use it yet. But if you want to stay ahead of it, actually more pros using it this year. But you want to stay ahead of the game, make sure you learn the precision lob pass as well. And another tactic, the final one that I wanted to go over. Now, I don't want to promote this kind of style. This one I'm leaving it last, okay? But the truth is, every Tom, Dick, and Harry Jessica's playing it now. Okay, it's just the truth. What they're doing, because it's so good defensively and so good offensively. So what you could typically do is you can go poacher, and the main instructions here, for example, are, I would say, inside forward. So you're basically attacking in that 5. And then, for example, if you put attacking fullback, for example, and attacking. This is an example, right? then you can see you kind of have that 3-2-5 system. So similar to like a real life system. Think of this like this is Arsenal defending against Man City without Son and striker. That's Trossard with the red card. But that is basically how you play. Well, actually, they played a 6-3. They played a 6-3 actually. But anyway, look, this is a very good formation because offensively you attack in a 5, but defensively you have a back 5. It's so hard to get past. In my opinion, they got to nerf back 5s. You know, remove them from Ultimate Team. Sorry, remove them from Foot Champions. Like back in FIFA 18 days, you had requirements champs. Remove them from Foot Champions, remove them from Rivals, and remove them from the pro scene. Because problem is, when a lot of the pros are struggling, they will go to a 5-back, especially when the game comes out, and they will continue to use a 5-back and they'll change to a 4-4-2 because obviously they'll understand the game. Whereas everyone else will still want to stay on a 5-back because they think I've got defensive structure. So yes, is this a very effective formation? You could go with, I would say probably go for like a lower depth of like 50, maybe even 40. So is this very effective? Yes. I don't kind of promote this kind of style of play, but it's coming to the point now when you're in Division 2, every single person is using this formation. And because a lot of people are struggling this year, they're turning to 5-backs even more for defense stability. So this is why this formation is very, very effective. But these are top 5. There's a few others like 3-5. There's actually a lot of other systems that could potentially get into top 5. But to make a top 5 is actually pretty hard. So I've kind of put a bit of what the masses kind of want as well. But for me, the real standout, in my opinion, is definitely my 4-2-2 and my 4-1-2-1-2. Maybe we're a bit harder to play, and then the 4-4-2. I think those are probably the more standout formations. This one, I would say, is a bit of a, for those that liked last year's system but want to play last year's but are struggling this year, can do something like this. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget, if you want to get better FC, come to my Patreon. So it's patreon.com/NilGuys and learn the basics. In fact, this is probably the best time for you to join now. September. If you don't get better after 1 month, we'll refund your money. So NilGuys guarantee. We'll improve you. If you don't improve, we'll refund your money. Learn the basics. Learn everything you need to know. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Link down below description. Catch you next time. Peace out, boys.